Hello and welcome to Building the Blockchain podcast, Ep.4 for this season. I'm David Whiting, and today we're going to do something where, based on the last 2 weeks of me traveling to San Francisco and Los Angeles for Tech Week, and now being back in Las Vegas, we want to do something where we can help some other people when they go to different events between now and the end of the year. There's going to be a lot of events that are going on as we uh, lead up to CES 2026 in January. We want to give some people some advice and tips on how to leverage their network and leverage their professional network. So, most of the time, a lot of people really, and I've been there. How we're not really comfortable with networking and what to do and what to say sometimes, and then you're kind of stiff and you just pitch yourself and you're kind of robotic, and it comes out the same way to different people where it needs to be customized and be a little bit more um, uh, comfortable, so you're not really stiff and just doing just a basic presentation for people. So we're just going to talk about how, when you network, how to leverage your professional network, and when you go to different events, what's the best way to try to talk to people and make sure that they know what you're doing without being overwhelmed and trying to talk about too many things about yourself. So we just want to go over a few things today, and we'll start talking about some different ways and different tips to help you out. So basically, we want to talk about, and I'll talk a little bit about how I'll help you, how I what I do with my networking playbook. So I'll help you steal some event networking tips from my playbook. Now, most people are doing networking at tech events completely wrong. They walk into these massive, overwhelming convention centers or different event venues with a hidden agenda. Every handshake is treated like a vending machine. Insert a compliment, get a contact. Every conversation is a pitch. They're aggressively selling themselves, their product, their resume, talking way more than they listen, and leaving with a stack of business cards but zero real connections. Pocket full of paper that's just going to end up in the trash. I know this because I used to be one of them. For years, I was that person trying to force a connection, trying to squeeze value of everyone out of everyone I met. It felt gross in a way, and it felt exhausting. And it was costing me career changing opportunities I didn't even know that were flying right past me. Then I tried to do the exact opposite. I threw out the old rule book that tells you to work the room. I stopped selling and started listening. I focused on simple, counterintuitive ideas that led to job offers, mentorships, collaborations that I thought I never could have planned. In this video, I'm going to give you my playbook, and I'm going to break down the system I built so you can steal it, use it at your next tech event, build the kind of network that actually changes your career. And I look back, and I'll never really forget the moment that I realized my entire approach to networking was a train wreck. I was new at it, and so I wasn't comfortable. And so I went to a few years ago. I went to a major conference, one of those giant events here in Las Vegas with 50,000 people, flashing lights, constant buzz of vendor pitches, and it was my second time there. And the year before, I played the game exactly how I thought you were supposed to. I went to the opening mixers with the goal, collecting as many business cards as I can. I bounced from group to group, perfecting my 30-second elevator pitch. Hi, I'm whatever. I'm a say example. I'm a software engineer. I specialize in distributed systems. Here's my card. What do you do? Uh, for example, I'm not a software engineer, but that's an example. And that it just was coming out as a human API call, just pinging everyone in sight and hoping for okay. And then I hit my number of 200. I hit my number of 53 cards, over 50. I got 53 cards. I felt like I accomplished something. And then for about a day, it was only a day. The next week, I sat down to follow up. I looked at all these pile of glossy rectangles, these cards, people handing out cards, and it said one of them said senior architect, and then it said who was James, senior architect. What did we even talk about? I had a vague memory of a cool laptop sticker, maybe a band that we both liked, and then I just had no idea of what the conversation was. My follow-up emails became generic because they were conversations that had been generic. Great meeting you at the conference, and then I would just start off with an email. And then out of all those 53 emails that I sent out, I got maybe two polite, equally generic replies. The rest, crickets. My network hadn't grown. It just acquired a small pile of expensive garbage and paper. So in the second year, I was determined to do better. I was going to have quality conversations. The problem was I didn't know how. I found myself standing awkwardly by the coffee or water station, watching a senior engineer from a company that I saw and some other people that I saw at previous events that I really admired. And I saw him from the person I saw from the year before, and he was talking to a small group. So this was my shot. I saw it rehearse my new, smarter opening line in my head. I walked over, I waited for a tiny pause in the conversation, and then I just jumped in. Excuse me, I said, my voice getting a little too loud. I don't mean to interrupt, but I overheard you talking about the service orchestration. I've actually been implementing a similar solution. And I think my approach to managing could solve the issue that you just mentioned. And then the conversation screeched to a halt. All eyes were on me. And then the person that I knew from the year before, he just, bless his heart, he just blinked at me. He had the polite but tired look of someone who'd been cornered by a walking resume 100 times that day. He said, "Oh, interesting," with absolutely zero interest in his voice. The group did this collective, uncomfortable shuffle. I had tried to prove my value, show off my skills, and sell myself as a peer. But all I've done is hijack their conversation, turned it into an unsolicited live action code review of myself and my background and how much I know. I made it all about me. The moment broke. I found an excuse to scatter, and I was left standing there completely alone. And I was just flush with a shame and started to feel a swell in my stomach and creeping up to my neck, up to my brain. And then I hit my brain, and that was it. That was the aha moment. In my attempt to avoid being a card collector, I became something way worse. I became the know-it-all who forces his expertise into a conversation when nobody really asked for it. Both of the mistakes came from the same flawed idea that networking is about taking a contact, taking someone's name, taking an opportunity. I realized then, standing by that coffee machine, that if this was networking, I wanted out. There had to be another way, a way that didn't feel so transactional, a way that felt more human. I decided to run an experiment for the rest of that conference. My new goal wasn't to meet 50 people or impress a single person. My new goal was simple: just have just one conversation where I learned something interesting about the other person that had nothing to do with what they could do for me. I wouldn't offer my opinion unless asked. I wouldn't talk about my work unless it came up naturally. My only job was to listen and ask questions. It was radical, a shift from how can I get something to what can I learn. That simple shift is the foundation of this playbook. It's what took me from being the awkward guy by the coffee station at the conference to having a network of genuine friends and advocates across in the entire industry. And so this mind shift from takeover to giver, I'm going to talk about. The first and most important step in this playbook, it has nothing to do with what you say or do at the event. It all happens in your head before you even book the flight for the conference. You have to completely reframe what networking even means. For most of us, networking is a dirty word, brings up images of fake, self-serving conversations. And it feels that way because that's how most people do it. They walk into a room thinking, what can I get? A job lead, a new client, a key contact. It's a taker's mindset. The playbook starts by flipping it on its head. You have to adopt a giver's mindset. Or if giver sounds too cheesy, just call it a learner's mindset. Your main goal is not to get anything. Your main goal is to learn from the brilliant people around you. And if you can, help them out. This isn't some feel good platitude, it's a huge strategic advantage. When you walk into a room as a taker, you're like a web scraper, aggressively extracting data. Is this person important? Can they help me? People can feel it when they're being sized up. It's like a firewall goes up, it makes a real connection impossible. They get defensive because you're trying to get something from them. You feel that difference, right? I know I do. So when you adopt a learner's mindset, your entire vibe changes at the conferences. You're not a hunter anymore, you're an explorer. A hunter just brings a weapon looking for a target. An explorer brings a compass and a map ready to discover the terrain. Your new mission is to understand their world. What problems are they working on? What are they excited about? What's bugging them? Your focus shifts from how do I impress them to what really makes them tick. This does two powerful things. First, it takes all the pressure off you. You don't have to perform. You don't need a perfect elevator pitch. You don't need all the answers. Your only job is to be interested, not interesting. This is a massive relief, especially for introverts like me who hate the performance part of networking. You're not on stage, you're in the audience. And the second point is it makes you magnetic in a world, and especially at tech conferences like San Francisco, LA Tech Week, where it was just 2 weeks of conferences and different events where everyone is fighting to talk about themselves. The person who actually wants to listen is incredibly rare and valuable. People are dying to be heard by someone. By giving someone your undivided attention, you're offering them real value. You're making them feel seen. This is the foundation of every real relationship, professional or personal. So, how do you actually do this? You set a new definition of success. Your goal for the event is not to collect 50 business cards. Your goal is have 3 conversations where I learned something totally unexpected. Or find one person I can help in a small way. Maybe you can introduce them to someone else you met. Maybe you can recommend a book or article about a problem that they're having. Maybe you can just listen while they talk through an idea. This mind shift set is the hardest part because it forces you to fight every instinct that tells you to be competitive and self promote at conferences. But it's the one change that unlocks everything else. You have to truly believe that a long term network is not just about planting seeds, not just picking fruit. You're there to build relationships, and relationships are built on trust and mutual value, not a one off transaction. Walk into that conference hall next time wanting to be the most curious person in the room, and you've already won half the battle. And now we're going to go into the playbook, the pregame prep, the art of doing reconnaissance. So now you have once you got the right mindset, the real work begins. It starts way before you even get to the convention center. Most people end up showing up cold. They look at the schedule for the first time on the plane, or even when they get at the conference. That's a big mistake. That's like trying to explore a new city without a map. You'll just wander around and miss all the good stuff. Believe me, that's happened to me at conferences. So the playbook says, do your homework. This isn't about being a creep. It's not. It's about being intentional and respecting everyone's time, including your own. First, get the lay of the land. Who's going to be there? Most big tech conferences have an app or a website that lists the speakers, sponsors, and sometimes some attendees. A week or two before the event, you should spend a couple hours just browsing. Your goal isn't to create a hit list of targets. Remember, we're not takers. Instead, you're looking for what I call curiosity triggers, people or companies that genuinely interest you. And you should, by that, you'll be able to identify the key people. Look through the speaker list. Who's giving a talk on a topic that you're actually passionate about? Who works at a company solving a problem you find fascinating? Who has a job title you've never even heard of? Make a short list of 5 to 10 people. These aren't people you're going to ambush, but they're like lighthouses helping you navigate through the conference. It's probably a really good idea to research. See, if you have the time, research their work. For each person on this little list, do a quick 10-minute research. Find them on LinkedIn or Twitter. And don't forget, we are right now on LinkedIn. We write on Twitter. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and we are on also we're on different channels. So make sure you like and subscribe. We're on multiple channels. We're live streaming the podcast. Maybe you look at their blog posts that they wrote recently. Maybe they shipped a big project. Maybe they posted about a hustle that they're excited about. The goal is to find a real point of contention, not like a creepy, I saw you went to Hawaii in 2019 connection or something like that. A professional one. Make it more professional. Like, I read your article on chaos theory, and it really made me rethink my position. It's a fantastic, respectful way to start a conversation. Start some goals, keep some goals. Now, based on the research you did for a few minutes, decide what you want to learn. Frame your goals around learning, not outcomes. Instead of get a job at company X, try understand the culture at company X by talking to one of the engineers or one of the biz dev people or the marketing team. Instead of find an investor, learn about current trends in seed stage funding by checking up on the startup track. Now, this reframes the whole experience around curiosity, not pressure. Next up, prepare your conversation props. It's a mistake to think the whole conversation has to be verbal. Sometimes the best way to kick off a great conversation is to show, not just tell. Think of a conversation prop like a movie trailer for your work. You're not forcing them to watch the whole film. You're giving them a nice 30-second exciting glimpse that makes them want to learn more about you and know more. This is not a sales deck. It could be something like a project demo. Have a quick 30-second screen recording of your personal project or a cool feature that you just built. And someone asks what you do, instead of just saying, I'm a developer, or I'm a marketer, or I'm an accountant like myself, or I have a new startup like myself. You can just say, I'm a just keep it simple. I'm a founder of a company, or I'm a front end developer. Just keep it real quick and short. So lately, I've really been building data visualizations. If you're an engineer, here, let me show you something I've been tinkering with, and then you can go to your smartphone and just show them real quick a little screenshot of what you've been doing. A screenshot of a graph or a picture that tells a story. Maybe you can say you ran an A/B test with a result, or maybe you can say what the accomplishment was, that you cut something down and you increased revenue, or whatever the task and the goal that you achieved. Then you can bring it up. It's a powerful way to make your work tangible and spark a real conversation. And sometimes for really techie deep side conversation at tech events, maybe you could talk about a piece of code that you solved, or I could talk about a client that I had that had a problem that I was able to resolve it quickly, easily, and affordably, and they were just came away satisfied. It's like speaking the native language of the people that you're talking to in the circle at the conference. So try to prepare a well-reasoned, data-backed take on a popular trend too, like blockchain or AI. While everyone else is nodding along about the latest hype, you can be the person who says, I see the potential, but I'm worried about the implementation cost. Here's why. It makes you memorable and shows you're a critical thinker. Finally, use some digital tools before the event. There's so many digital tools now. There's so many AI tools that you can use. You really take advantage of it before the event. So, say like a week in advance, check out the event hashtags on Twitter or LinkedIn. See who's talking about it, and maybe start engaging even before the event. And say, hey, I see you're going to the same conference. I'm going to also. I'm really looking forward to hearing about the platform on that panel that I'm excited about. And it looks like you're excited about too. Also, it's a low stakes way to warm up a connection. When you see that person at the conference, you're not a total stranger anymore. You're that person from Twitter or LinkedIn who left a note, a message. This prep might seem about a lot of work, but it's about working smarter, not harder. 1 hour of prep can save you hours of aimless, frustrating wandering on the conference floor. Turns you into a passive attendee, into a active participant who's there with a purpose. You're not just showing up, you're showing up ready. So now we covered some mindset shifts in the pre-game prep. This is where the magic really happens, the actual conversation. This is the part that trips most people up, but it's the easiest to master once you have the core idea. If you're finding this useful so far, make sure that you like and subscribe and give this video a like. It tells YouTube and it tells Facebook and it tells Twitch and X and the other channels that we're on uh, that you're getting value, which helps more people who are tired of the ineffective networking that you find. Your support of this event really and the live stream and the podcast helps me know that I can keep making content like this. So uh, let's get back to it and break down how to have a real conversation with people who will actually remember. Uh, so the art of the conversation. This is it. You're on the conference floor. It's loud. It's crowded. You're surrounded by thousands of smart people. The old you will be panicking, wondering who to talk and what to say. But now the new you, armed with a learner's mindset and solid prep, is calm. You're here to perform. You're here not to perform. You're here to learn. The single most important rule is listen more than you talk. Your goal in any conversation is to have the other person speaking for at least 70% of the time. This might sound passive, but it's actually a form of conversational leadership. You're guiding the conversation with good questions, creating a space for them to share. You're not a podcast show host, talk about interesting people. Be a master listener and you'll become a master networker. How do you start the conversation without being awkward? Forget cheesy one-liners. The easiest way to share is to use your shared context. You're both at the same event, in the same room at the same time. Use that. Simple, low-stakes openers. While waiting for a session, say something like, "This looks like a great session. What made you want to come to this one?" Or if you're at the coffee station getting a coffee, "Hey, this is the first time at this conference. It's huge. Have you been before?" After the session ends, maybe turn to the person next to you and say, "That was a great talk. What was your biggest takeaway? I thought the point about XYZ was really interesting." Notice how all these are open ended questions. They can't be answered with a yes or no. They invite a story. This is the key to start of a great conversation. Asking open ended questions about their experience, their opinion, or their story. Once the conversation starts, your job is to keep it going with follow up questions. Think of yourself like me as that podcast host. Your best friends are questions like, "That sounds fascinating. How'd you get into that? What's the biggest challenge you're dealing with on that right now? What's a common misconception people have about your job? What are you most excited to learn this year at the conference? What was the most surprising thing that you learned on that project that you worked on your last project?" As you listen, you're not just waiting for your turn to talk, you're actively listening for those curiosity triggers. When they mention a project, technology or a problem that genuinely interests you, that's your cue to go deeper. Like you mentioned, you're using ABC for network observability. That's an area I'm really curious about. How has been your experience been with it? That's a critical point. Do not aggressively sell yourself. The moment you start trying to prove how smart you are, the connection will shatter. It's like trying to run a heavy, unoptimized program on someone else's machine. The whole system freezes, and the only instinct is to force quit the interaction. If they're interested in what you do, they'll ask. And when they do, you'll have a simple human way to describe it instead of I'm doing very technical work, and you get into very technical jargon. Try something like I help teams build and manage their systems. Right now, I'm really focused on making our systems more reliable. If you're working on a team of on a project, so if you prepped yourself during this conversation, it's the perfect time to use that. It's a little easier to show than tell. And mind if I show you a quick example? You could say something like that. Another key tactic is to find the right environments. The giant expo halls at the Las Vegas Convention Center and a lot of these different events are often the worst place for a real conversation. The expo halls are the public feed, the loud, chaotic, and full of ads and sponsorships. The real connections usually happen in the margins. Attend the smaller workshops. They're more intimate and interactive. They're easier to connect with the speaker and the other attendees. I'm really glad that CES is starting to do that. So that's something that I liked at CES last year, and then I look forward to the smaller, more intimate takeaways and the smaller workshops that they have. You can embrace the hallway track. Some of the best conversations happen in quiet corners between sessions. Don't be afraid to skip a talk if you're in a great conversation. The connection is always more valuable than the slides, which you can usually watch later on live streams, or you can get on the conference apps. So try to join special interest meetups. Many conferences have events for specific groups, like, of course, women in tech, startup founders, or for people interested just in AI or data science. Those side events and those small events are amazing for finding your people that you really want to meet. What about group conversations? You're going to ask. So if it's not one-on-one, but it's in a group conversation, the rules are still the same. But now your job is to be a facilitator. If you're talking to one person and someone else joins, include them. Say, hey, come on over. We're just talking about the future of remote work and AI. My name is Dave, by the way. Your goal is to make the circle bigger. Ask questions everyone can weigh in on. Finally, what about the hybrid events that are online and then in person? The game is the same, it's just a different type of field. Use the event's virtual platform or the app. Just don't be a passive viewer. Engage in the chats. Ask good questions in the Q&A. A lot of platforms have virtual breakout rooms or meeting schedulers. Use them. Reach out with a specific personalized message. Hey, blank, I saw your profile. You're also in the same space I am. I really enjoyed your question in the last session. I'm trying to solve a similar problem, and I would love to connect for 15 minutes if you're free. Something like that is the digital version of a smart in-person approach. So if you focus on listening, asking good questions, finding the right spots, you'll turn networking from a scary performance into a series of fun, interesting conversations. You're no longer the awkward person trying to butt in. Now you're the curious explorer people are actually happy to talk to. And so we want to give, as we start going and keep going, there's more to talk about. And so we want to go to the different ideas that we want to give you. And basically, what we'll keep going, and we're going to keep trying to help you out with some of these different ideas and the concepts that you need to know before you can really get comfortable at being at at different conferences and events. So as we keep moving forward, make sure you like and subscribe. And leave any notes in the comments that you thought of, any ideas that I might have missed, or something that you thought of after listening to this, and you can drop them in the comments. So now we want to try to get to that memorable follow-up. Every conversation has to end. This is where a lot of people stumble. They either hang on too long until it gets awkward, and I know that feeling, or they bail so fast it feels rude sometimes. So mastering the graceful exit and memorable follow-up is what turns a great chat into a real connection. It's how you go from some person I spoke to a person in my network. Let's start with the exit. The key is to be respectful of their time and leave on a high note. You don't need a clever excuse. Just be honest, and politeness work best as always. A few different ways to give advice to end a conversation. The time bound exit. Well, I don't want to monopolize all your time, and I know we've both got sessions to catch. It was awesome talking to you about XYZ topic. I love to connect on LinkedIn to stay in touch. Or something like the value oriented exit. This has been super insightful. You've given me a lot to talk about, think about. I really appreciate you sharing that. I'm going to grab some coffee before the next keynote, but it was really a pleasure meeting you. Or the introduction exit. This is the ultimate power move. If you know someone you they should meet, use it. You know, based on what you said about being observant, you should really meet my friend. She's working on a really similar problem. Let me see if I can find her for you. Notice what you're doing. Now you're clearly signaling the end, showing gratitude, and suggesting a next step, like connecting on LinkedIn or another. Most people use LinkedIn, but some people use some people use Instagram. Some people use Instagram. Some people use Telegram. It doesn't matter, but LinkedIn is usually the most common connection that you'll find to contact at business conferences. So now let's talk about the contact info. Now everyone knows, and I really don't have them either anymore. The paper business card is fading. Forcing a card on someone is like handing them a physical street map when they have Google Maps on their phone. It's a nice thought, but it's not like how things work anymore. The modern way is now just digital exchange, like I was saying. The best tool, like I was saying, is the LinkedIn app's QR code feature. I just used it a lot in the last 2 weeks. It's instant, connects you right where you're on the platform. Make sure you just have good Wi-Fi. It can be a little frustrating if you don't. And just say, hey, would you be open to connecting on LinkedIn? If they say yes, pull out your phone, open the app, and have them scan your code. It takes 10 seconds. Better than a business card, because you'll have all the information right on LinkedIn. You'll be connected with them. The next step is a critical one, and that's where 95% of people fail. A generic follow-up. Just a generic, what's great to meet you is like a system generated notification. It's impersonal, it's instantly archived. A more memorable follow up, it has to be prompt, personalized, and purposeful. One, prompt. Follow up within 24 hours, not a week later when they've forgotten your face. The memory of your chat is still fresh. Acting fast shows you're organized and that you genuinely valued the conversation. I try to do this as much as I can. If sometimes I'm not perfect, but I try to follow up as quickly as I can. And I usually try to set aside 30 minutes at the end of each day or the flight home just for follow ups. And then the second thing, P, is personalized. This is where where your active listening pays off. Your follow up message, whether it's on LinkedIn or email, must mention a specific detail from your conversation. This proves you actually were listening. A bad follow up, hi, great meeting you. Let's keep in touch. A great follow up, hi, it was a real pleasure meeting you by the coffee station yesterday. I really enjoyed our chat about the challenges of scaling and different ideas that we talked about. Your recommendation to check it out was awesome. I've already ordered it. or whatever it was that the article or something that you were talking about, or already took a look at it. Thanks again for the great chat. Hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. See the difference? The first one is spam. The second one is a real continuation of the conversation. You've reminded them who you are, what you talked about, and showed that you valued their advice. The third P, purposeful. Your follow up should ideally add a little bit of value. It doesn't have to be huge. Think of it as sending a small, helpful pull request. It's a gesture of contribution that gives you the giver mindset. Be helpful. Don't ask for something. So, I'll give you some examples of a purposeful follow up. Maybe you can share a resource. Hey, Susan or Jim, following up on our chat about building internal platforms. I remember this great article from a blog that hit on some of our points that we discussed. Thought you might find it interesting. Or something like you can make an introduction. Hey, Bob, Susan, or whoever the name was. Great talking to you. You mentioned you were looking for a good consultant. I'd be happy to introduce you. They do fantastic work in that space if you're interested. Or maybe you can answer a question. Hey, Susan, Bob, the person that you met, you asked about the tool we use. It's called XYZ. Here's a link to their site. We've had a great experience with it. Let me know if you have any other question. This approach turns the follow-up from a chore into another chance to build the relationship. You're reinforcing your image as someone who is helpful, thoughtful, and connected. To manage all this, don't trust your memory. After each good conversation, take 30 seconds to jot down their name, company, or one or two things you talked about in a notes app or a spreadsheet on your phone. And this little personal CRM is your secret weapon for crafting the perfect personalized follow-up. By mastering the graceful exit, the memorable follow-up, you complete the loop. You take a brief in-person chat and turn it into the beginning of a long-term professional relationship. This is the engine that turns conversations into a powerful, genuine network. I want to probably try to show some examples that I found on YouTube. I can share some of them with you now. I can share some videos on YouTube as we go on that I saw that talked about the same thing that I'm talking about that I wanted to share with you. And I want to see how other people look at networking. And here's something that I saw that I found on YouTube, Networking 101. It's Networking 101, and it's basically two graduates from Harvard. They were talking about how they do things on when they network at a different events. I'll just show you a few minutes of it.
Completely drawn into someone's personality. They were like almost kind of magnetic and so charismatic. And you're like, what do they have? And how can I have some of that? This episode, we're going to discuss how to talk to anyone. Alrighty, let's dive in. Let's do it. Hi, I'm Jean. And I'm Cherie. And we're the Tiger Sisters. Welcome to the season finale of Tiger Sisters. Yay! I can't believe it's been 10 episodes. Yeah, it went by really fast. Yeah, it went by really fast. I am excited about the evolution of topics we've discovered. Yeah, I think like some of the more recent episodes have been a lot more like fun and not just like informative, and hopefully the audience is enjoying that. Yeah, I think we covered a lot of like professional stuff in the beginning. Yeah, mixed in some personal stuff, and yeah, it's just been such an amazing season. You've done really well. Thank you. I know. Thank you. My first season. Your first season, first time podcasting. Yeah. And 10 kind of just like flew by. Yeah. And I feel like I'm also just getting more comfortable with like speaking on camera and being more candid and just being more like vulnerable and honest.
Hey, Tone, why should people come to the AI Advantage Summit November 6th, 7th, and 8th?
I love that for you. Thanks. Okay, so before we go any further, please this topic is to focus first on like work and career aspects of how to talk to anyone.
Yeah.
And then we can, devolve
Into whatever
other
else
topic.
this podcast might turn into.
But let's start with like, what are some tips you have for talking to older people or more like senior people, meaning like leaders in the company and like execs, or maybe even people you feel intimidated by? I feel like you're a really good person. This is a big topic because you can talk to anyone. And
Yeah.
like, I feel like it's one of your superpowers.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think I really struggled with this when I first graduated, because when you're like a 22-year-old in the workplace and you're like, oh my God, so much of my self-worth is tied to what I say and how I present myself.
Yeah.
It was really nerve-wracking, but I think just getting more repetitions in and getting more practice in talking to people who are older than you, who have more like years of experience than you, and like getting those reps in really helps. But I think honestly, it's a mindset shift for me where you're just like, even if I'm talking to someone who's like 5 levels above me or the CEO of a company, at the end of the day, they are just a person.
Yeah.
And like, if you can connect on a human to human level, like no sucking up, no like ass kissing.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you connect with another person and genuinely be curious in them and what their story is and what they care about? Then I feel like that's where it becomes less scary.
Well, on the topic of getting your reps in and like getting exposure, I feel like one of the ways you did that was through your internships. And at Morgan Stanley, I remember you interned there when you were in college. And one of your specific assignments was to interview all these like VPs and other sort of leaders at the company for the project that you were working on. You were making like an internal directory of information or something, like an internal resource directory or something.
Exactly. And as part of my internship, it was my like role, my job, my project to talk to a bunch of Morgan Stanley technologists and vice presidents in their very like specific domain. And a lot of it is just like asking questions, being curious, and then also knowing that you yourself have something to offer. I think that's like a comment I see quite often on social media. It's just like, oh my God, like, I'm in high school, I'm in college, or like I'm a new grad. Like talking to these people who are much more experienced is kind of scary because like, what do I have to offer them?
Well, but so like when you were doing it, were you nervous or were you like, oh, it's just my assignment? Like I was told to do this.
I was definitely nervous because I wanted to make a good impression. Like I didn't want to like sound like an idiot, but I think before even talking to the person, doing like a lot of research.
Okay.
And like every conversation, it goes well because I'm prepared. Like I've done research on the person. I know what their purview is. And it's not like I'm asking like, level 1 questions that I can just Google. I'm asking level 10 questions that only this specific person in this specific domain would have the answer to.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because I feel like Cherie's Corner was like an evolution of like looking back on it now. Right? Like, have you ever had that thought? No, I haven't. That's what you do for Cherie's Corner. So for Cherie's Corner, Cherie's other podcast that is wrapping up its last season.
Her other podcast.
It's wrapping up its last season so she could focus fully on Tiger Sisters.
Yeah.
She has interviewed some like true like titans of industry, like people who are just like, I don't know, like single name like people kind of.
Oh, yeah.
In a way.
For sure.
But you do so much preparation for that.
Yeah. And that's what I think people don't see is how much behind the scenes goes into these, the podcast, obviously, but then also just like having like one-on-one coffee chats with people.
Yeah.
Like never, ever go into a coffee chat like cold.
Yeah.
Bare minimum is spending 5 minutes on their LinkedIn profile to know more about them. And that's like the bare minimum, I would say, especially if you're the person who is asking for the coffee chat and, in the like power differential is asking for help.
Yeah. I feel like that's a very good practical tip.
Yeah.
I think one of the most powerful ways to talk to anybody is to identify what your shared interests are. Or like even better, like over time, like
cultivate some sort of like shared interests and shared experiences together. Yes. Like I feel like you have like so much to say about that. When I was in school, one of the big things that I did, and I would suggest that other people do as well, is like join clubs or get involved in groups where you can like find a common interest. For example, in the last few months of my time at Stanford, I helped co-organize the Stanford Women's Golf Clinic. And it was just, a few of us ladies where we got together and we created a 3-week series to bring other Stanford women in business to go learn golf together. And we got so much feedback from these ladies that they were like, this was amazing. I've never played golf before. It's so safe. It was just like a good environment. And then also like, for example, we had like a mini creator club at Stanford and it was just like common interest. And it's not just at school too, it's at work, right? And a lot of companies, there are different sort of affinity groups that you can join. And even outside of that, like some of the things that I've done is remember, like I've created this with my friends, like this annual retreat with my HBS girlfriends where we get together every year in Newport. It's about like 20 of us. And we basically like have this weekend of like learning and growing together, like reconnecting and bonding. Yeah. It's like creating, you can actively create these experiences where you can like bond with people and like get to know them better. Well, I think it also starts from like a shared understanding too. Like we all have a common something. And then from there, you create the shared experiences where you dive in even deeper. And one way we were able to do this at Stanford GSB that I absolutely loved was going on trips together. Big proponent of traveling together to experience things in a new way. And speaking of trips, you may have seen that Cherie and I recently announced our Trova trip to Japan together.
Yeah, so I thank you. I just want that was just a few tips from a YouTube website that I saw that I want to share with you. So that was one concept of the people that also want to give some tips and advice. So you can that was a great podcast. I wanted to share some snippets of that podcast. You can always check out that podcast on their channel. It was really something that I just want to share with you. And there's just one other there's just another snippet that I wanted to share with you from another podcast that I saw that was pretty insightful that I want to share with you. And then I'll wrap up my presentation.
Introverted individuals to be able to find their voice. I mean, it's an unbelievable opportunity engine.
No one knows you did it. No one knows you did that scary thing and did 5 for 5, and you got up in front of your peers and talked for 5 minutes. Nobody knows that you faced that fear and that you did a good job.
If you're in the room, you belong there. I think that is something that is a hard lesson to learn, at least it was for me. And if you're being invited into the room or into the podcast or onto the stage, take the risk, take the opportunity, but also remember you belong there. Like you're supposed to be there.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Carpool Conversation. I am here with a familiar face, familiar voice, Matt Fowler. He is the account executive at Pivotry. Maybe not the account executive.
Well, the most important one, naturally. But I'm one of a few, but I oversee the automotive division. So,
yes. And this is your second time on Auto Care on Air?
Second time on a full one, and then we did the clips at Connect.
The open mic.
Yeah.
Yes. So welcome back. And then I have John Clemens. He's the product manager at Experian Automotive. Welcome to your first Auto Care on Air podcast.
Thank you. Long-term listener, first-time caller.
There you go.
Yeah.
And have you ever been on a podcast, period?
No, this is my first one.
This makes me so happy. I love newbies. This is the best. This is the best first podcast you can do. Super casual.
Okay.
Plus, you're sitting here with your friends, so it'll be good. We're going to talk about creating career opportunities today, and it kind of worked out great to have this group because one thing that we've all done, we knew to do, is to get involved in the industry to create career opportunities. So we actually all got started kind of getting involved with Yang.
Yep.
I served as the vice chair at some point you just got done.
I just got done as chairman. I'm past chair now.
Yeah. And actually, when I was like, hey guys, you really need a job.
It's in the same industry. We're all seeing similar things, and we can connect over that in a way that, if you just show up to work every day and you go home, you're not really going to get that opportunity to meet people outside of that small bubble when the industry is huge. So why not, kind of get more involved? And it's not necessarily about moving companies or like getting involved in that way, but it's more about the aspect of just getting to see what the entire industry is doing and gives you a new perspective to bring back to different teams and be like, well, actually, these guys are going through this, these guys are going through this, personally, professionally, whatever that may be. And so those lines are ever getting blurred between personal and professional relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, even at lunch, right? We're talking from a sales perspective, right? Different sales strategies, right? Pivotry and Experian kind of do two different things, but it was interesting that we align in our sales practices. And I'm not in sales anymore, but what Matt was talking about was exactly what the sales team at Experian Automotive is doing. So it's just interesting because, we're just having a discussion over lunch, but there's an open opportunity for me to go back and talk with my sales team and say, hey, I was talking with a colleague, this is what they're doing. What can we implement or how can we help?
Yeah. There's a certain kind of trust, though, that like you build when you're kind of in the trenches doing yang, like on a steering committee like that, when you're with somebody and you're working, on the industry, not just in your company. A lot of like competitors can come together, a lot of and it really does. It not only just helps you form like trusting relationships where that those people are going to be the ones who bring you opportunities, because word of mouth is still number one. Word of mouth is still king. So the more people that can speak for you and trust you, they have their own networks. When opportunities cross their minds and they think of you and that person they're talking to trusts that person and their opinion of you, it just brings opportunities to your doorstep. And it also, I think, getting involved in the industry helps you see the bigger picture of where your company lives in this, big world and how things are unfolding, having a good understanding of industry topics like sustainability. What are people doing in AI? What are people doing in EVs? And just kind of having those kind of like narratives in your head and like being involved and bringing that back to your company. It'll help open a lot of doors just within your own company too. Just being able to see like, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's very involved in the industry. People know him. He's got a huge network. Huge opportunities can come for that.
Yeah. I think we didn't even say the word networking yet, but I mean, that is such a buzzword right now, networking, especially post-COVID, right? We were all kind of locked away at our homes during COVID. We could network virtually, right? We couldn't necessarily network in person, but the amount of ways we could network and can network today could just open up so many different doors, right? It's the same thing. I've networked with peers over the last 10 years here at Experian. Some of those friends or those colleagues that I've met, they stood up at my wedding, right? I've been over to their house. I've had dinners with these people. They're friends inside the industry and outside, which is just an awesome thing to reflect back on and say, yeah, this is the proof in the pudding for networking.
Mm-hmm.
But then thinking about, it's great to have the friends and it's great to grow all that, but it also gives you an opportunity to see people in positions you may want to be in. You can start seeing people who are growing and being like, hey, give advice, get advice, all those fun things with networking is like outside of just creating awesome friendships, which obviously we've all done. We were all recently at a cornhole tournament together. But it's one of those things where it's just like, at the same time, I can ask, John about what's going on over here or like things of that nature. Like, do you have advice? Here's the position I'm in. Here's what I'm going through. Here's what I'm thinking. And you have these people that know your industry well enough to know that their advice is a little bit different than someone who may have just been on the sidelines that doesn't really know exactly what you do or what the goal of your industry is. Because the companies all build the same industry. So like if we're all building those blocks together, it just makes life that much easier. And you have all those extra people to go to. And we've made so many awesome relationships, even just if we just look at what we've done with Yang and then move on to all the other networking opportunities from the different events that we all have, that really just opens all those doors. And then you take it a step further and you join a committee and then you get on the council. And before you know it, you're speaking at a conference. And that's another space that, there's no better way to learn something than have to speak about it. Oh, yeah. And so you really have to dive in and understand a topic before you can speak on it. And it's hard. And it's not always the most fun thing to do at first, but I think that speaking opportunities are another great way to open yourself up to more opportunities, because if you A, can speak eloquently on it, and B, get up there and command a crowd, you've already done half the work to do most jobs.
Yeah, it kind of like makes you the leader in the space,
Mhm.
like when you have the stage to talk about it. And public speaking is quite terrifying, but it's another thing that, even just like Yang, and I didn't mean for this to be a Yang commercial, but they have their 5 for 5s.
Mhm.
So, it's basically a just practice tool, right? Like raise your hand, go speak on something for 5 minutes with 5 slides. And it just gets you more comfortable being up there in front of your peers.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we see a lot with the younger generation, right? Their most important thing is, how do I grow up in the industry, right? And I think the most important thing is being able to speak well and being able to present on topics that you're passionate about is just going to put you in a better light with your friends, your family, your colleagues. So yeah, I mean, those 5 for 5s at Yang were fantastic to bring people out of their shell and kind of give them the opportunity to shine on stage. And things like this, where this is the first podcast I've ever done, but it's comfortable and it's something that I can learn from.
Mm-hmm.
So even people in older generations like you can learn still.
I'll tell you what, the grays are coming in thick. Yes.
Oh, we didn't mention Matt is celebrating his 12th, 25th birthday.
I'm
So I just wanted to share some of those. I want to share some of those 2 videos with you, so you get not just my opinion and my outlook, but you get from different podcasters who are out there and what they're talking about. And these were some of the podcasts 2 podcasts I want to share with you, and their conversations on networking and conferences, and giving some tips of advice that was unique to those podcasts, but they're relevant to everything, because they were talking about how to build your audience, and how to network and give different tips of advice because you can really grow your network by tapping into other networks, and then also by doing little getaway trips with smaller groups, like the 2 girls, women spoke about there. They're had some very good insights. I just wanted to show you just a few minutes of that. I didn't want to go through all their whole podcast that they have, but those are other podcasters that have some great ideas and some great concepts I wanted to share with you. And I wanted to, just as we start wrapping this up, I wanted to show that to you also. So let's get back to what we're doing and wrap this up. And what I'll talk about as we finish this up is now we'll talk about the results, the after story. So how does this all actually work? Does shifting your mindset from taking learning really get you anywhere? Let me tell you what happened after I threw out the old playbook and went all in on this new system. The results just weren't better. They were life-changing. They just didn't land me opportunities. They built more of a career for me and really got to really accelerate what I'm trying to talk about, and what I'm trying to help people with, and what I'm working with. Then when I started to go to after that first conferences where I learned and learned the hard way, I started to the next event. And then when I go to events now, I make sure I go to the small developer workshops if I whenever I can, so I can use my new playbook. My goal is just to have interesting conversations. And during breaks, I remember talking to a woman who was at a well-known company. Instead of just pitching myself, I asked her what she thought of the workshop. We ended up talking for about 20 minutes after this, talking about trying to our pain points and that we shared. And I mostly just listened. I just asked her about a few challenges. I shared a story about a mistake that I made, and how it affected my team, and what we learned. And it was just a normal human conversation between 2 people, just kind of like geeking out on the technology that we had in common and what we shared. And at the end, we connected on LinkedIn. So my follow-up was simple. I just sent her a link to a blog post about what we were talking about. And I just said, hey, blank, I don't remember her name, but I wrote, really enjoyed our chat. This article reminded me of our conversation, thought you might find it interesting. And then she replied, thanked me, and we messaged back and forth a little bit about it. That was it. I didn't ask her for a job. I didn't ask for a referral. I didn't try to ask her for trying to connect me with someone that she knew in her network. I just tried to be helpful. Then 3 months later, I get a message from her on LinkedIn. And she said, hey, my team is looking for someone to help us lead our new initiative. And she said, I remember your approach to problem solving from our conversation stuck with me. Will you be open to a chat about that? And then that chat turned into a loop. And that loop turned into a consulting job that wasn't even listed publicly. It was only available to people that she knew, that she trusted, that she reached out to. And it was a good client, and it was a huge step up. But it happened not because I sold myself, but because I had a real conversation and made a genuine connection. It just wasn't another resume. It was a person she remembered that she enjoyed talking to. So there's a lot of stories like that. I remember I talked to a keynote speaker after an event, a true pioneer in the field, and they were standing alone for a second. I would have been too scared in the past to approach him, or I would try to impress him with some kind of smart question. But now I just walked over to him and just noticed and just said, "This was an incredible keynote. The way you explained the example that you talked about that really resonated with me was the clearest I ever heard." He smiled and said, "Thanks." Then I asked him a simple, just a regular question, just like, "What are you hoping people really take away from your talk today on the panel?" And then he lit up, and we talked for about 5 more minutes. Not about we talked about making things understandable for everyone. And I followed up later with a simple thank you note on LinkedIn. And then a few months later, I hit a wall on a project. So I sent him a message, and I said, "You may not remember me, but we spoke briefly after your keynote last year. I'm working on a problem related to a specific area that we talked about. And I remembered you had some unique insights. I'm wondering if you could point me to any papers or resources that you could recommend." To my shock, he replied back within 24 hours. And not only did he send me some research papers, but he said, "This is kind of tricky, this subject. If you have time, I'll be happy to jump on a 15-minute call to walk you through it." That 15-minute call became a 45-minute masterclass. He became an informal mentor that way, someone that I could occasionally ask for advice. That relationship is worth more than 1,000 business cards. It was built on respect and curiosity, not a transaction. This playbook just didn't lead to jobs and mentors. It led to friendships. It led to collaborations that are open source and free and not really stiff and planned. It led to invitations to speak at meetups. It filled my professional life with people I only not respected but genuinely liked. Made me feel the entire industry felt smaller and more friendly and more accessible. So that result is that networking stops being a thing you do and becomes a natural side effect of who you are. Being curious, being helpful, and connected to a member of your community. The opportunities don't feel forced, they just flow from the relationships you build. And that's a much more enjoyable and sustainable way to build your career and extend your network. So, as we wrap up, what's the secret to these networking at tech events and different events? It's realizing there's no secret, there's no hack. The playbook I've shared with you isn't about memorizing clever lines or gaming the system. It's a fundamental shift in how you show up. It's about having the courage to be a human in a professional setting. Most people walk into a conference, put on a mask, the mask of the expert, the go getter, the salesperson. They think this is what it takes to get ahead. But what I've learned is that the most powerful thing you can be in a room of masks is yourself, a curious, authentic, and engaged version of yourself. So let's do a little bit of a recap. The mind shifts set. Go from taker to giver. The goal is to understand and help, not just to get. Then, secondly, pre-game prep. Do your homework. Find curiosity triggers. Prep your conversation props so that you can show, not just tell. And then remember, third, the art of real conversation. Listen more than you talk. Ask great open ended questions. Guide the conversation with genuine curiosity. And then finally, number four, the graceful exit and memorable follow up. Try to end up on a high note with a follow up with a prompt, personalized, purposeful messages that add value. This system works. It works for introverts like me, extroverts, junior devs, senior architects, or whoever, engineers, developers, or sales reps. It works because it's built on timeless principle. People want to connect with people, not with walking resumes. Stop selling, start connecting. Stop pitching and start listening. Stop trying to be interesting. Start being interested. When you do that, something incredible happens. The pressure disappears, the anxiety fades, and networking transforms into a dreaded chore, into an energizing adventure. You'll leave conferences and workshops not with a pocket full of useless cards, but with a mind full of new ideas and the start of real career changing relationships. You'll be building a network that supports you, teaches you, and champions you long after the conference swag is gone. That's network building. I'm giving you my playbook. Take it, use it, but just don't follow the steps. Adopt the philosophy. Next time you walk into an event, leave your agenda at the door. Bring your curiosity instead. I promise you, it will change everything. Now I want to hear from you. Try to please drop a comment, like, and subscribe. Tell me what's the best or worst piece of networking advice you've ever received. I'll try to read all the comments. I'm generously curious to hear your stories. And if you want more deep dives into strategies that you can accelerate to make your career grow, make sure you stay subscribed to our podcast. Thanks for watching. Make sure that you like what we're doing, and I hope you like what we're doing. That's going to wrap up the podcast for today, the Building the Blockchain podcast. We wanted to do something a little bit different and not just talk about tech all the time, but talk about the human relationships at events. So I hope you had a good time. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. We'll see you on the next one, and have a great day.